My name is Erin Sparks. I'm with Site Strategics. I'm the owner of Site Strategics. We're covering local SEO this session, and for my knowledge, who knows what that actually is? And just hands up. You don't have to yell. Have you heard the term before? Yeah. Oh, I missed that table up. Not a clue. So you heard the term, and I think maybe it correlates to getting into the six-pack of Google listings, or getting your site up in the rankings on the natural search of Google, along with some national competition. It's all kind of vague, though, of what it all means and actually how you get into the local listings there. So what I'm going to do is do a quick summary of what has happened inside of Google, but on top of that, give you some action items that you can bring to your clients or your own company, explicit steps of what you need to do, and on top of that, there's a download for this entire presentation at the end of the presentation. So don't skip out early, because you can grab it and you can take it home with you. Alrighty? And I am, just to let you know my presentation style, I love to stop and answer questions. A lot of the things that we talk about here, we go through a lot of them. And if there's any questions about a particular concept or a particular point that was made, stop and go shoot up or something, because I want everybody to make sure everybody knows what we're talking about. And that one thing that we talk about may be very, very important to you, and I want to give you time to be able to ask that question. All right. Who we are. We are Site Strategics. This is a seminar for local marketing secrets. We are a Indianapolis-based firm. We focus on search engine optimization, SEO programs, where we develop inside of web. Obviously, we have web developers, but our primary focus is to increase the value organically, as well as lift up all different aspects of digital marketing for our clients. So we focus in a number of different disciplines. We go into search engine optimization. Well, hey, by the way, guess what? This is the 10th anniversary of this company. So, come on. This month is actually Site Strategics is 10 years old, and we got a great team of individuals with us. We're growing. It's been our best year, and truly are blessed to be able to have the business that we do. We focus inside of search engine optimization, search engine marketing, social management, local optimization, web development, content marketing, and we also develop apps. So the focus is to go the entire strata, but one thing very, very specific to our organization is that once we actually get engaged with a client, we work in these different aspects to the degree of the budget. We also close the door on working with any other competitors of that particular industry. From a point of view, it would be a conflict of interest. So we try to partner with that organization for the long haul, because I don't want somebody strangling my neck whenever they see somebody else ranking above our client, and it happens to be our other client as well. It doesn't make sense. So whenever we actually engage, so a bit like a marriage, we want to be there long term. And we come up with all different strategies that are intellectual property for our clients. So that distinguishes us a little bit in our industry. I've been doing this for actually 25 years, if you can believe that. I predate the internet. I built websites on bulletin board systems. That's a long time ago when you heard the screeching of the modem at 1440 baud modem. Those were beautiful things. The internet's come a long way, and I started developing search engine optimization methodology about 16, 17 years ago. So we were able to set up a company 10 years ago, and we've had some really striking successes, and it's always been focused on bringing a better value, a return on investment to companies' websites, as opposed to building a website that was a piece of print collateral or the company to print. So that's us. We also have a radio show. If you haven't heard, please give it a listen on 95.9 FM and 950 AM up on the north side. every Saturday at 3 p.m., but it doesn't stop there. No, absolutely not. We have an entire wake of digital assets. We do YouTube as well as podcasting on a regular basis. We break down each and every segment. We actually, and guess what, another anniversary. Next show is going to be 100th show for the Edge of the Web. So there's a nice little thing as well. Right? It's all coming together right there. So I don't want to know what the next shoe is going to drop. It's going to be pretty cool. We do a lot with this podcast, and it actually is getting some national recognition. We have individuals from Australia, New Zealand, paying attention. We just talked to somebody out of Boston. Why we're doing this and what the podcast is, it's not a sales tool per se, it's an education tool. And we're actually moving a lot of very topical information, very, very topical, as in the day or the week a particular Google update happens. We're talking about it on the show because we want to get that information out to everybody as quickly as possible. We break our shows down into unique themes of local SEO, for example, or social media, or content marketing, blogging, and we bring in a lot of guests on the show as well. So as much as it's a great advertisement for us, we've really invested a lot into this. We've been doing it for 2 years, 100th episode, and it keeps on, it's a gift that keeps on giving to us. So please tune in, and we also have an app that you can download, free of charge off the website. Keeps all the aggregate information that we're sending out there right in front of you. All right, enough about us. Let's get into the meat of the matter here. So we're talking the local SEO landscape, and I tell you what, that's been a battlefront recently that is going up and down. And we have to understand a bit of the context of the search engine realm. And I am fully aware that everybody here knows the landscape, but just to point it out, we've got the paid ad environment. We've got, I mean, literally Google's putting so much in front of their organic true results. It's pretty bloody ridiculous. We've got the SEO and the organic results that keep on getting pushed away with the local environments as well. So what you're seeing there is regular SEO from an Indianapolis-based search, but there's something actually a little bit different there, is that company is a local company in the midst of a number of other national companies. And what we're looking at here is the landscape that you're wanting to get into. This guy right here, you all know what it is. It's the local six-pack, which is free and offered by Google. And the mystery of all this is how you get right there. It's not reviews explicitly. It's not content explicitly. It's a matchup of a lot of different factors that we're about to go through here. But the point is that this guy is a beautiful asset that, if you do it right, it comes up at the top of the mobile screen invaluably. The click-through rates are fantastic, and on top of that, the reviews that couple along with that, they're your biggest advocate, your best salesperson. Between these two listings, that looks paid for, or it's at the top of the listing. But if you have somebody right here that's actually passing reviews up, and people are talking about it, they haven't even seen your website yet. They're already getting sold before they get there. So you have the Google screen that's actually advocating both these listings. This is one of our clients here. They're at the top of the game here, but they're also getting advocated by Google with this local product. It's the holy grail that you want to have, and obviously the Google landscape is changing regularly, and we never know what's going to happen a year from now, 2 years from now, but this came up, and all of a sudden it started to level the playing fields, where you had national campaigns or national companies trying to get into the local listings instead of organic. This gave individual small businesses the abilities to succeed right next to some strong marketing campaigns, because Google wants that localization. So, going even deeper into the landscape, we've got the carousel here, and this is all populated by reviews. And if you've seen that before, it's a beautiful band of graphics, and you can control what imagery is coming off your website, coming off your Google business profile. All these guys, I mean, look at that. That's a huge advocacy of sales right there. If I'm looking for Indianapolis pizza, I'm looking at Wow, and on top of that, if I can actually see the actual pizza itself, right? Makes me hungry, wants me to go, it's forcing me to go right there above anything else on the screen. So we've got local SEO that's also injected in. So the landscape of the Google result is intent-driven, it's localized-driven, it's review-driven. I mean, this doesn't look like it did 2 years ago. It's completely focused on your proximity, where you are, and all the additional off-site elements, not the on-site coding, not the on-site on-page key terms. It's this surrounding level of concentric circles of value that are being passed to those domains. Okay? All right, so location actually impacts results, and we know that, you've seen that, and we've all been able to control our own view of where we're coming from, and even change the view. If you change it to Chicago, change it to Las Vegas, we know now, and who has not done that? Actually, let me ask that question. Who hasn't actually changed where they were looking from? Do you know how to do that? Google has this tool available, but it wasn't originally there. See, there's so many things that are changing inside of the Google landscape. One of the biggest things back in 2012 was the Google Venice update. I'll talk about that in a second. But also the Google Plus environment, reviews, and how prominent reviews are now in the, I guess, the consumer ecosystem. You've got competitors that are out there in personalized search because Google's paying attention to how you're searching. And on top of that, the pigeon update. Who's heard of the pigeon update? Guess what happened?
What?
It happened this week.
What?
Yep. And it's incredible. I'll get to that in a second. Google Venice update was 2 years ago in February of 2002. This is where you had normal results from a national search. They changed it to local results being returned, and your results were actually different localized results were pushing down what you used to have, and Google was offering up some poor optimized websites to come along because of a couple other factors that were happening from reviews, from these different outside influences. So what you used to have prior to the Venice update, all of a sudden the game changed, and now you're battling the people that you never thought you were going to be battling with. And you look at the website, who's done this? Why in the world are they even ranking? I mean, if you look at your website, you put this much money into the optimization, and you look at a website that's got 3 pages on it, right? How in the world is it getting into those top spots? That's what Google started to work into the search engine results. And on top of that, you don't even need to be logged in now to actually be seeing these localized results. They're delivering it straight to you based on your IP, based on your proximity. So you change it to Las Vegas, and you see all the localized results that are coming through. You can do that regularly, and you can also spoof your IP and come from a different region of the country and see similar results. So you're not even logged in, but you want that listed because when it gets down to it, that's your salesperson. Like I said, this is where it's free. It's important, and it shows how much Google weighs the reviews about your particular product, your particular business. Okay? So let's get into it. Just recently, the pigeon update. All right? Pay attention here. This happened on July 24th of this year. This was an update that just came through, and according to Google, it has very deep impacts on web results themselves. Okay? What it's done is, well, you're going to see some increase and decrease. Your local listings, the way you have them now, even if you are benefiting from the local optimization, everything's turning around, unfortunately. Google is actually taking this algorithm change that used to be just in web results. They're actually passing it into other signals that they rank for, including the knowledge graph, different spelling corrections, as well as synonyms, tying into the hummingbird updates of late. What they're doing is taking what they used to have as a small pocket of local results and the web results themselves, and they're taking the influence of local and they're bringing it into a number of different ranking factors that used to be separate This update is now bringing the importance that they've been seeing in local, and they're using it into a number of different other factors that we're not playing in the local package. This is just brand new, so we're all reading it, talking about it right now, so this is going to be a little bit more fine-tuned, but basically what happened here, the local directory sites that we all hate, love, if it's a Yelp listing, right? You want to have those reviews, but all those local directories are back in front of the local individual websites. So you've got Yelp. There was a Yelp problem that just happened that they fixed with this update. Who knows about that Yelp problem? Basically, if you would type in a company name and then Yelp at the end of it, expecting the Yelp review to be the first listing, Google was actually pushing that down and putting its own reviews or different reviews in front of the Yelp. Now that's a bit odd, don't you think? That was a complaint that was happening, and Yelp was actually complaining directly to Google about this. They were changing it up because they were obviously wanting to gain their own system and get their own Google Plus reviews in front of Yelp. It's their sandbox, right? Well, they just changed this, and now the Yelp queries are actually coming to the top of the screen now. This is across the US. It's not in the UK yet, but well-known directory-style listings like Urban Spoon, TripAdvisor, Yelp, and OpenTable are all now ranking higher than they were literally post of February 2012. It's fine. It shut up. So I'm going to take a pause here because I ran through this because I wanted you to see this update. It's urgent. Somebody give me some feedback. How important is this? Anybody?
That's pretty big.
That's very big.
You've got another good man there.
You absolutely do. They're giving credence to the reporting or the review properties, now even more higher than what it was doing. In fairness, it was merging the directory listings with local websites, okay? They're now actually putting them right on top to the degree where some of these results that they're finding are, check this query out. Miami Hotel, I want you to walk with me on here. Miami Hotel shows up individual hotels in the carousel I was telling you about, but nothing but directory style pages in the SERPs in the organic listings, okay? URLs from hotels.com, TripAdvisor, Expedia, Kayak, even a list of hotels from Merit. Individual hotels aren't showing up until page 2. Okay? This is big. They've just given all the credence to their review properties, not just the directories. You gotta understand why it's out there. Their review properties are the consumer advocates. That's where the consumers are actually championing the hotels, right? Now, watch this. If you search for Chicago pizza, now this is all in flux, guys. I mean, everybody's in flurry right now about this and trying to get some data on this. It's screaming for some control experiments, so bear with me here. But if you actually search for Chicago pizza right now, individual restaurants in both the carousel and the SERP come up throughout the first page of organics. But in comparison, if you search Dallas dentists, several individual practices actually show up, but the Dallas restaurants show nothing but directory-style pages. Can anybody thread this needle to see why we're seeing different results here? There's a concept here that I want to see if we can shore up. You've got dentists and restaurants, right? Hotels and pizza. You see I'll jump to the chase here. You've got review opportunities here. You don't have as many you have individuals that are dentists in the surrounding area in a very localized search. If you're looking for restaurants, if you're looking for hotels, you're wanting a large bank of reviews and a large listing of reviews. If I'm looking for a pizza place, I'm looking for a pizza place, right? I'm looking for what's closest to me. Proximity. Dallas dentist, I'm looking at the proximity from my locale. Okay. If I'm looking for hospital or hotels or restaurants. I'm either coming in from different areas, or I'm wanting to look around in a larger perspective. So now Google is actually deciding who gets fair game based on the intent or based on not only the type of search, but the perspective of where there is going to be review needs as opposed to individual sites that need to be lifted up. Does that make sense? This is big because just like Hummingbird is actually going after intent and actually understanding what you're really looking for and making calculations based on term usage and phraseology and tying into the Siri search. Now it's showing, it's deciding that you don't want to see a bunch of reviews of a lot of dentists in a big dentist forum. You want to find individuals, but when you're looking for hotels, you're in a different mindset. You're actually wanting to compare. You see what I'm saying? This is a huge thing. Now we actually have to start looking at how to optimize in this new terrain. I'll leave it at that because it's so fresh. We're all still freaking out. So it's a matter of there's still basics that have to be done, and if your sites are not following these basics, then you won't have any chance to be in those locals, especially now that you have this directory cliff that you have to fight against. All right. So local SEO. What affects local SEO? I want to go after 5 different compartments here. Okay. We've got on-page optimization, which is the most malleable. It's the most in your control. You've got social media, which is also inside of your control. You've got citations. Who here knows what citation is? Sir? Anybody else? Citation is a reference to your website that's not a link. Okay? You've got local profiles and you have reviews. Okay? These are the factors that will affect your local placement. All right, so down into it. Number 1, on-site optimization. These are all the things that you can affect on your website. So let's go through them real quick. Title tags and meta content. Name, address, and phone numbers on every page. The content of the site, obviously. Blogging, as well as rich snippets. And I'm going to break each of these down real quick. All right, so the title tags and meta content. All right. You need to have, it would be suggested to have your city in your title, at least in a large 50% portion of your website. A reference where if you're going after local optimization, put it in these titles, right? And you can see it's the leading factor right there. And the same thing very well goes for meta content. You can see right here, we've got Indianapolis referenced right inside of our homepage meta content. Now, you're going to ask me, well, I'm a national company, right? I want to be local as well. These are the basics that you can apply to a multi-city organization. But follow me on here, you need to have these things in place. So if you're looking at different branches, different offices across the country, you need to have enough content that refers to these tags in the branch of content that is that particular office or that particular location to start making that valuable. If you look at it, if you have one reference to if you have maybe 15 pages of a branch, and you have one page that has a title that has your Indianapolis reference or your meta keys in there for one page, you've got a 2-to-1 ratio. None of this is going to be, you're literally diluting yourself. You have to reinforce the rest of the pages to have and carry the water for that message. Your messaging in all different areas of your website. If you have one location, do it consistently throughout the entire website. So we got a client that came to us that had I hate to say it, an AT&T Yellow Page website, which was terrible. And if there's anybody from Yellow Pages, I do apologize. It was terrible. It was god-awful. And it was ranking anywhere. Okay? So we rolled out a website, WordPress website, did the basics that we were looking at, making sure we had the headlines as well. Right? We have professional office cleaning in Indianapolis. Right? We also have the phone number there on the site everywhere. We orchestrated the content around the concept of Indianapolis office cleaning. Now, this site had no reviews, had barely any links going to it. to it. It was an AT&T site, so it already had a bad vibe happening. We rebuilt the site, launched it on the exact same domain, and it had 5 pages to it. 5 pages. And in 35 days, they got to, and you saw it already on the previous screen, first place ranking in the organic listings, as well as, without reviews, top listing inside of the Google 6-pack of local references. This is a perfect example of getting your content aligned correctly. Now, are there other companies inside of Indianapolis going after office cleaning? Yeah, absolutely. They're not really optimized that well, so it was an easy win, but it's an excellent example. That's sometimes these things can be the only things that you need to do to hit those local attributes. Okay. Going into it, same thing. It's another one of our clients. Search Greenwood garage doors. They're going to be coming up to the top of the list. Name and phone number on the footer of every page, making sure it's in the content. You know, the most common place for the location and the phone numbers is right there at the bottom. Okay, I'm going to back up right now. What about tracking numbers? What about multiple locations, multiple phone numbers, right? It's a tough thing if you have so many different numbers, especially if it's not locally based, especially if it's not a landline that's known by Google, a physical line, right? There's a challenge there. If you have all these cloud-based tracking numbers, okay, it won't pass a local value. In fact, to the point of Google, whenever you're verifying your office, you give them the landline, they will call that number. Who's ever gotten called by Google? They'll verify right there. They're calling you, and they know if you're getting passed through a cloud or if you actually have a physical installed landline. So, unfortunately, it's a practice you have to embrace it. You have to have that physicality. You have to have that purchase line from your local telephone company, and you can redirect it anywhere you want to. But it's got to start there. Okay. Getting into on-page, and I go into on-site optimization. We're talking about blogs. Okay. Now everybody under the sun has blogs. And you're talking about everything under the sun about your specialty. Get it localized. Start talking about a local event. Write about it. Okay? If it's a local initiative that your business has, reference the bloody city. Get the zip codes in there. Start having this as a regular practice. And even make it a content discipline is that out of all the pages of your website as well as the blogs, how many times are you referencing your particular location? Write about events in your area as well. Even if you're not doing something, you can still observe around the location that you are. And Indianapolis is a really big place. There's a lot of things that are going on that are directly attributable to your industry that would be great fodder for localization of your website. Okay? And include the location in the posts mentioning your business directly as well. Any questions about that? Okay, authorship. Now, if you don't know what authorship is, Google gave us the ability to be a publisher and tell Google where we're publishing. And there was a nice 360 loop once you connected it to your blog that gave you some credence and gave you some value in the eyes of Google. And there were some subsequent bumps up in rank as soon as you connected the dots there. Okay? Authorship has changed. And just last month, it's like whack-a-mole, it truly is, because, I mean, there's so many things that are changing, and you never know what they're going to change, but at the same time, you only know what worked and what didn't work after the fact, so you have to keep on picking up pieces and then trying something else. All right, so we had authorship, we had a big old ugly mug right there, and it was a great way to get some additional click-through traffic on the search engine results, because Google was inserting that particular photo right in front, and it gave the difference. It has an additional valuation between search engine results, right? Well, there's an update now, and that's gone. Just like that. They've taken out the thumbnail, now they're putting the publisher's reference, but all of a sudden, we don't have that differentiating factor that Google just gave us.
And across the border, just local search results.
It is working across the board.
You're still seeing that.
What's that?
They're going.
Yeah, and they're going away. You're still seeing it, but I mean, the amount of, at a point in time, I don't know if you've seen it, when you were searching, literally, there were 5 or 6 different thumbnails, right? I mean, it was getting right. It's full of these images, and they're systematically yanking them out. And it's going to be over a period of time. They're all going to be gone. Now, who knows what? I think we have a conspiracy theory that it was all a ploy to get the memberships up for Google Plus. But
So the authorship is staying, they're just not showing.
Yes, sir. Now that's a very, very good point. Authorship is staying. Now, I am firmly of the belief that you are still getting a bump of value as you connect the dots. If you're playing in Google Sandbox, doing it what Google wants you to do, connect the dots, do everything, buy the book, what they ask of you. Because whether or not you're getting the click-through, and there are schools of thought saying there's no difference in the actual click-through rate from one thumbnail, as opposed to a non-thumbnail serve. I'm sorry, I disagree entirely, is that was a huge factor, being able to have those displays out there. It's all gone. So what do? You can't even call Google, can you? So, going on deeper into this, on-page optimization, rich snippets are another thing that's going to be up on the chopping block very soon. In fact, it's already changed a little bit as well. Rich snippets are structured markups in a way of annotating information. What meta content used to be until it got completely gamed. Rich snippets are this way to communicate to Google what type of content this is. It can be a place, a rich snippet can be a place, it can be a restaurant, it can be a product, it can be a review, which has always been a bit suspect to me. And you're actually putting reviews on a page that you can control, and they were actually displaying that rich snippet in the search. So you could actually give yourself 5 or 6 or 4 or 5 stars, and that rich snippet that you manufactured was actually displaying in your search result. Who finds that efficient? They're experimenting with us to see what we could tag our content with. So this was the definitive list right here of information. It's very, very, very limited, right? But they're sending these rich snippet ideas out there, and we all lapped up on them. If you have it, you can check it out. There's also events. Sorry. You can actually test through Google Webmasters tools. There's an actual rich snippet tester, and you can also see sample code of rich snippets that you can put on your website. But I give that with I make a recommendation: use it sparingly, because it can look like you're gaming the system just as bad as stuffing keywords and meta content. Use it effectively. You can tag your content, you can tag a particular event, but don't tag every page, and test it out. See whether or not that page is getting additional rankings or additional traffic coming in. That's the test. That's what the screen looks. You can actually put any page in there, and you can test for structured data. It's still a bit loose. The entire concept of rich snippets are still a bit loose, but it's Google's way to give the webmasters, I hate myself just with that phrase, the developers of websites the ability to give feedback to Google about these terms, about what types of content you have on your website. Any questions there? I know it's kind of loose, but that's as much as they've given us. And what was really odd is they actually gave us the ability to tag every page with the reviews that we manufactured. And I just don't see any way that was going to be a win for white hat optimizers, because it just looks like you're teeing up your own bias feed on every page. All right. Number 2, local sites and profiles. Okay, now we moved off the website. Now we're going into the local sites. Okay, local sites like Google Plus, Yelp, City Search, Yellow Pages, Kudzu, Thompson Local, and this is 6 out of hundreds. Okay, but there's a top 50, and there are values higher to lesser on these. And we start with Google Plus because Google wants you to play this on the sandbox, so you better get it right over there. And you need to verify correctly, and we'll go through that in a second. But the point is, if you're not in these spots, if you haven't taken the time to actually go and register your website on these websites, you need to, because it's free for the most part, and that passes value back to your domain with a link, but as well as a citation. So there's an entire laundry list, and if anybody wants a list from us of the top 50, just give us a tweet on our social, our Twitter handle, and we'll certainly send it on over to you. It's valuable terrain to have immediately, and that is like an injection of a local citation going back to your domain. These profiles, you need to make sure your address is consistent across all profiles. Now, this is what's really important, is that you got to get it exact on every one. Spaces count. How you say the word, or how you abbreviate the word street as opposed to the full street. Those things count, because what it gets down to is Google is paying attention to all these different directory listings and wanting to make sure you're the same company over here, over here, over here, over here. Okay? If you do it sloppily, you're not the same company, and you won't get the benefit of that collective seed planting that's out there. All right? And to the degree, there are tools, we use tools to actually do a validation on this, and we can actually see, I mean, for example, right there, there's there's some spaces on our address right there, okay, that need to be cleaned up, and why Google Plus is actually showing us spaces. But we have a tool that actually will go through and inventory every one of the different citations or different local directories that we have out there and compare all the addresses instead of doing it manually, which is a bear, and I wouldn't recommend it. We have good software to be able to actually match up and see what we need to work on and get 100% consistency. Okay? You need to verify all your profiles by email or phone call. Who's ever verified with Google? All right. You need to do that, and Google's the predominant one that you gotta get right. But they'll either hit you up the phone call or an email. Make sure that you fill in as much information as possible, and all of the important areas. Now, what I mean by that is, every one of these business listings has their own idiosyncrasy of data that you can give them. But there is a consistency that you should go after: the description of the company, operation hours, obviously your location, get that exactly right. Photos, where there are photos available, get those in there. Those are valuable assets, and they actually work themselves into Google imagery, if you can believe that. Get that, take advantage and take the time. Just don't use a software that will automatically list your product. Okay, there's one out there that constantly hounds people and wants to sell you a full directory listing for $50 or something like that. Won't name who it is, but they don't do a very good job doing it. You need to take the time. This is your personal, this is potentially the first time somebody will actually meet your company before they ever come to your website. So why not take the time to groom it a little bit better, have the visuals there, even have some of your mission statement, policies, and it all changes based on the different local directories, but I mean, take the time to do it right. All right, local sites that will pass great gravy of references. Newspapers, right? Radio, love radio. Local business directories, TV stations, local charities, your city council. Now, we're getting granular here, okay? And a lot of companies are still at a national level or statewide level, all right? But if you can find out where all these factors are in your community, and connect, you're doing a twofold thing. One, if you can introduce yourself as an organization, and honestly, you have the opportunity of doing something for them. You have already a new connection to your local proximity that's worth its weight in gold beyond SEO. This is what you're supposed to be doing as a business to begin with. But if you can get links, if you can get yourself registered in a directory, a business directory that is known by Google as a local, for lack of a better example, Indianapolis Chamber of Commerce. Bang, it's beautiful. It's exactly what you want coming back to your website. So local TV station, local radio station. Yeah, contribute to a particular fundraising cause. Get your site listed on there, and all of a sudden it's passing great value back to you. All right. Changing channels here real quick. Going into social. All right, we all love social, right? Twitter, Facebook, obviously YouTube. All these are the great areas, but I mean, what you do need to do is focus on top 4. Okay? Well, 4, 5, 6. Pinterest, Foursquare, YouTube, I mean. All right, 7, I miscounted. Always link to your About Us sections from these websites. Now, why do I say that? Not just your homepage. Your homepage gets plenty of links, okay? The About Us section has your local information. You're connecting the dots there. So take your time, and even if you have a local, if you have different branches, right? Get into those different branches homepages. You need to have those citations of those links passing deeper value into exactly what is dialed in for a local optimization. I'd also recommend registering on a number of social media accounts, not just the ones that you're going to maintain regularly, but who's here, ever heard of Knowem? Knowem is a social media registration company, basically, KNOWEM.com. They actually have a plan that you can subscribe to, and you can get your handle registered on top 100, 150 social media accounts. Before you even get there, it's all done manually. You give them your profile, your business information. They'll go in and register everything for you on an email that they can control, and then you can go in and pick up those accounts. You do that for 2 reasons. One, you can quickly get some additional social local references passing value back to you, but you also sit on your own name, so nobody scoops it up in that particular area that's valuable to you. So, photos, videos, even payment options inside of these profiles are valuable, and links passing back over to those local areas of your website. Make sure you do that. Inside social media, get Google Local. If you haven't done it, do it now. Okay, and the Google Business has now taken into that. You've got the local social media environment, but now you've got the Google Business that's inside of there. You need to verify. Get your business set up on Google Local, verify it, include all the information about your organization. And this is a screenshot, a couple screenshots of how to register. If you haven't seen, it's changed a little bit recently. Go through, set up what type of business you are, right? Go through the entire process. Go through and give you a progress meter of how much your profile is actually complete. Very easy to do, just look it up on Google. Do that and make sure you answer the phone or answer the postcard whenever it comes, because that's always the tough thing. If you miss the postcard, you have to wait so many more weeks to be able to get that verification. All right, everybody like that?
No.
No. Everybody like that?
Yeah.
All right. Reviews. Now, this is where we're going. Reviews, and just more importantly, the consumers own the brand, guys. And reviews are major factors of how people look at your service before they even get to your website. You've got to pay attention to reviews. You have to know how to solicit reviews. You have to get into the review space. Who's scared of that? Well, you should be in a particular manner, I mean, because any idiot with a computer could actually throw a bad review there, right? And that's exactly what businesses feel. Why should we even go out there? Because anybody that has a grudge could throw something up against the wall there and people can see it. The problem is that the mentality has to shift. If you are actually scared of getting yourself out there, there's more problems of the organization than just just getting in, I mean, you need to make sure that you're doing everything, or the company that you're working for is doing everything ethically, because if you have disgruntled employees that are throwing some negative stuff out there, or the reviews are bad, that should not keep you out of these waters. The waters you have to go into, you need to show how much value the consumers are to these, to your services, right? Customers look at this before ever seeing your website. They actually weigh positive and negative, and on top of that, consumers are getting savvy. They're understanding that there may be a lambasting person out there that's throwing a negative review, but you know what? Anybody looks at the tone of that review, and they already make a judgment in their eye, well, that was an idiot, right? I mean, there's a DA quotient that's out there that consumers actually understand. But more importantly, if you as an organization ask for reviews and make it easy, you are seen in a much more positive light from anybody who wants to do business with you. If you are actually asking for reviews front and center, that means that you value every one of the consumers. The review that consumer has weight in your organization. What you should do: be prompt, make it easy, follow up on an initial email. If you're asking for reviews via an email system, don't let it sit out there, follow up on that. Be creative in how you ask for it. If you're doing it through social media, if you're doing it through email campaign, these things can be very well articulated and can be fun going through this experience, right? Reviews themselves, do not do this. Don't offer an incentive. Repeat after me. Do not offer an incentive. Come on.
Don't offer an incentive.
Why do I say that?
Illegal.
It's illegal. Literally, you should not, in a number of different ways. Don't buy reviews, ever. Don't ask for Yelp reviews. Don't dictate what should be written. Okay? Don't send a link to review on Google unless they have a Gmail. I mean, that's the most frustrating thing. Please link to our whatever, right? Our Google Plus review, and they've got a Yahoo, okay? Or they've got a Hotmail, whoever had Hotmail. Lastly, don't pose as happy customers to increase your review account. Do not do it. All right? And please, I mean, Google knows where you are, but the fact of the matter is, don't fabricate this stuff. Now, I'll show you an example of something that we do. I'll briefly show this. We actually install these tablets at locations. And it's a very easy review system. It's not going, what this does is you submit the information, and it sends a reminder to that person. Thank you so much for your positive review, 4 or 5 stars. Would you mind sharing it on our Google Plus, or our Yelp, or our City Search, or whatever the properties are that we have, right? That's a fantastic tool. We have this at a gun range on 31. Literally, they've had over 198 submissions.